So what in the world is happening here? So the Starfield player base has done some investigating into the so-called Starfield hate, and everything isn't as it appears at first sight. There's something very strange going on here, with many of the reviews being left about the game, and some Starfield concept art has resurfaced, begging the question, will we see these promising features added into the game as DLC, or perhaps even in the expansion later down the road? And players run into a super rare legendary ship. You got to see this one. And will we actually see nerfs happening in the future? Some players think it actually might be necessary. This is a controversial one. I want to know your guys' take on this one for sure. But yeah, check this out right here. So yes, the newest game I've been playing is a space fantasy RPG from the makers of Genshin Impact, and it has over 80 million downloads within the first 6 months, so that definitely caught my attention. Now this game is called Honkai Star Rail. It's free to download, by the way. And yes, I've been having a blast playing this one, and I love the anime-inspired art style. And I gotta say, special thank you to Honkai Star Rail for believing in what I do here at Open World Games and sponsoring this video. It has over 20 playable characters, incredibly detailed worlds to explore, and an awesome story with new updates, including update 1.4 that I'll tell you about here in just a second. Now, Honkai Star Rail is releasing brand new characters soon too, starting with the limited time 5-star hero known as Jingliu on October 11th. Now, she's described as a powerful ice destruction DPS hero, and she is skilled in sword combat. Then, on October 27th, the limited time 5-star hero duo Topaz and Numby will be releasing. Now, Topaz can summon her pet Numby for support during combat, making them a powerful duo. Now, also get this, in the new version 1.4 update, the main story will be updated as well, as the game goes back to the Balo Bog with new stories and maps releasing, including the Pillar of Creation and the Old Weapon Testing Ground. And don't forget to log in for 7 days to get 10 free Star Rail special passes and use them to draw Jingliu or Topaz. Now, Honkai Star Rail is available on PS5, PC, and mobile devices for free, by the way, and your data carries across on all platforms too. So join me right now and download Honkai Star Rail for free using my link in the description below. And don't forget to use the redemption code in the description as well for 50 Stellar Jades. And a huge thank you goes out to Honkai Star Rail for sponsoring this video. So yeah, we got to talk about those recent Steam reviews, which are ultimately influencing the overall rating of Starfield, which is currently sitting at 69.39%. But trust me, not as all as it seems as we dive into these Steam reviews. So we got to head on over to Reddit and check out this post right here. It says this: is the Starfield player base full of masochists? This one comes from Spaghetti. And yeah, if we scroll down here, we could see some of the recent reviews. All of them are not recommended, but what is happening here? It says, just took a peek at the Steam reviews, and this was a pretty common sight. People leaving a negative not recommended review, but then continue to play for longer than most other single player games even last. I get there is no, it's okay, but it will probably be better in the future, so wait till then to play it. And people use negative reviews as a way to leave feedback and suggestions, and a negative review doesn't mean they hate the game. I just thought it was kind of funny. So in essence, what we have going on here, if we can get into this, is you can see an example here of a review. It says 80 hours at review time, as you can see, but they go on to play a total of 215 or 216 hours on record. Here's another example. 49 hours at review time. They go on to play 90 hours, and then 33 hours at review time not recommended. And then we have 182 hours played total playtime. That makes absolutely no sense. If you're not enjoying a game and you're not recommending something, you're not going to go on to play hundreds of hours in the game post negative review. So yeah, that is definitely an interesting find, and it goes to show how the actual Steam rating here literally kind of means nothing in many regards, that a lot of these not recommended downvotes make absolutely no sense. Because I know when I dislike something, I don't go on to continue playing it whatsoever. I kind of back off of the game, and then yeah, I'll return to it if there's some sort of significant update or overhaul to that game to see and peek in if it has improved whatsoever. But yeah, this is definitely not the case. People are still apparently torturing themselves by leaving a negative review saying that they absolutely do not like this game, and then moving on to playing it. Yeah, again, the original poster did say, hey, that he gets that people are leaving feedback, but feedback is one thing, but completely entirely not recommending the game to influence the actual Steam rating and letting other people know, hey, don't play this game because I'm not playing it. That's essentially the idea behind leaving a downvote here. Well, the appropriate place to leave actual feedback would be on the Reddits or the actual forums, not just to outright downvote an entire game. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting discovery, and it goes to show what's actually happening behind a lot of the recent Steam downvotes. Now, of course, again, I've said this time and time again that Starfield isn't perfect. It's definitely not a 10 out of 10 game. There's a lot of room for improvement, but I think a lot of you guys are truly enjoying the game, especially based on the fact that even after these negative reviews, you can clearly see that people are still very much playing the game. So yeah, it makes you kind of scratch your head. Let me know your take on this one for sure. But yeah, we got to also talk about some concept art that has been resurfacing more recently. Check it out right here. It says, I find some of the concept art for this game really interesting. I hope we see them in the future. This one was posted by Astrologus, who says this right here, or who posts this actually. He says, a family living in a space station, a cat, and a floating robot companion. I always remember this piece of concept art, and a lot of people assumed, hey, it looks like you can create an entire family on a space station. That would be really, really cool. And even have your own pet. Now, could we be seeing something like this in the future? There is potential for that, of course. Let me know if you guys would love to see pets and the ability to create an entire family in Starfield. But yeah, there's also some other concept art here as well. We could see the possibility of being able to sit here on the windowsill and just chill. A lot of people would love to be able to do that. And then some people were like, hey, I loved how Constellation, the headquarters, used to look. And then also noted how Neon actually looked, where it was multi-tiered. This would have been really, really cool. And honestly, it would be cool if they could expand Neon in some way down the road. But yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one whatsoever. But we do have some interesting takes about the concept art as to what it could have actually developed into. So check it out right here. We have Sarah, who says this, pretty sure the first one is Sam, Cora, and the past rendition of Vasco the cat, though. That would be nice. Note the cowboy hat on the robot. Yes, that would of course be a nod to Sam perhaps, but the robot itself, I have to say, you can pop this open again, is very cool. So it would be cool to see this actual robot companion make it into the game. And there are some theories that perhaps we would be able to actually create our own robot companion through a future DLC. So yeah, that could be very possible based on what happened with Fallout 4 and previous Bethesda titles. So that to me is actually very good speculation on that one. But let me know if you guys would like to see some of these potential features make it into Starfield. Now, mentioning companions, we have this post right here, which got quite a bit of traction. It says this right here. Is it just me, or does it feel like Bethesda only half finished some of the companions? We scroll down here. It says, for instance, Mareka Boris clearly has the goal to explore all the cities and then build her own settlement after learning what the best parts of each city are. She tells the player all about this in detail, but after you exhaust her dialogue options, there simply isn't enough or isn't any option to act on anything she tells you. The same thing is true for Sophie Grace, who explains her family's predicament and how she's trying to figure out a way to get her family out of debt to a dangerous game. Once again, after the player learns the details of her predicament, there is no way to do anything about it or really interact with her further in any meaningful way. Yeah, it would be cool if they could expand upon this. I don't know if this is something that's going to be sitting here and they go, hey, you know what, we further fleshed out a lot of the companion options finally. So I think that would be neat if they had an actual update regarding the companions. And I know a lot of you guys actually want to see more romance options as well. This is stuff that I am rooting for, that I would love to see in the game down the road. But again, that seems like, I don't know if it would be something they would do as a free update. Would be cool, but you got to remember that Elder Scrolls 6 is definitely on the horizon here in terms of, what's going to take up a chunk of the dev time. Now, it says, there are actually many more unique companions like these in the game that have a detailed backstory and interesting goal that the player can't help bring to fruition or do anything about. It just feels like all the setup was there for companion quests, but it was never made. Yeah, it definitely does feel a bit half-baked in some ways, and it would be nice to see them fully flesh out a lot of the stuff in the game. Especially when it comes to factions, by the way. I want to see like faction versus faction type scenarios more in this game and how that can actually influence the world, because yeah, that's very much missing for sure. Now, I've got to talk about a further warning. Once again, this continues to happen to players. They kind of have no idea that this is going to happen to them in the game, and they're losing a lot of their gear and a lot of their weapons, and potentially could happen to you. So once again, yeah, this needs to be fixed. Calling to Bethesda to really address this in an immediate hot fix. It says everything I've saved since starting the game was just deleted because the new Atlantis penthouse was reset. Once again, this is a huge topic, and I'm surprised it's still in the game. Like, this needs to be addressed ASAP, because yeah, losing your gear like this is one of the worst bugs I have seen in a game, because I imagine that this could happen without you even realizing it. And hours as you go, you finally return perhaps to your safe house or your penthouse, and everything could potentially be reset or missing. So yeah, it's a critical issue and one that needs to be adjusted. Now take a look at this one right here. Came across a Varun cruiser, and as you can see, this thing is a big boy right here. And a lot of people are like, how in the world did you find this one? This is one area of the game that I was very excited for before release, and I feel like it's kind of underwhelming. I really hope that alongside certain features like companions, that this is something that they tap into and really give us more of. And a lot of you guys want to be able to board these legendary ships and to really have them kind of on the forefront more of the end game experience. Currently they really aren't. They are kind of super rare to run into these legendary ships, but I think there needs to be, I don't know, certain pirate missions, faction quests that really revolve around these legendary ships and really flesh out this feature. Now, also mentioning discoveries, the player recently discovered one of the ultimate XP farming locations. Check it out right here. It says PSA Schrodinger 3 is made of XP. This was posted by Argenti. And if we scroll down here, they posted this quick clip here of them atop their spaceship, basically sniping all the wildlife in the area. They don't stand a chance whatsoever. They're also using stealth as well. But yeah, I guess it really gives a ton of XP. So check it out if you are interested in leveling up very quickly. That is one way you can actually do it. Now, this is amazing right here. It says reached 4 million credits worth of contraband without cheating or exploiting. This one comes from Max Lone. And he goes on to show off his home base here with tons and tons of contraband. Thankfully, he did not put all that in the new Atlantis safe house, or he would be in a lot of trouble for sure. But yeah, we got to talk about a controversial subject here, and yes, that is nerfs. Check out the headline right here. The best weapon in Starfield may genuinely have to be nerfed. This one comes from Forbes. Oh boy, let's get into this one. Let me know if you agree with it or not. It says this: as I played Starfield for 160 hours or so, ramping up my difficulty to very hard by the end, I noticed that one weapon I had was outperforming everything else by a mile, and it really made no sense. That would be the Varun Inflictor, where the Varun series of weapons, and including a melee weapon and pistol, are generally a cut above the rest. But the Inflictor, it felt like it was in its own category. You could hit fire it and blast through enemies in a handful of shots, and this was even never finding one higher than green rarity. It didn't matter. On very hard, this thing still hit like a truck, and I had practically infinite ammo for it, as not much else used that type. I've seen many other players validate that yes, it's not just me. This thing is insane. Much of that is just pure baseline damage alone, but it turns out it can compound itself into a weapon probably 10 times better than anything else in the game because of some interactions and mods. So much so that if Starfield ever wants to have any semblance of balance despite being a PvE game, it may want to scale it back, as it generally seems broken. And this is a game where I'd already say very hard is not hard enough as is. So yeah, it's always controversial to me when the idea of nerfing is introduced into any game. So yeah, sound off if you think they need to keep it as is, or if you would be happy with a more balanced Inflictor going forward. kind of curious your take on this one, or do you think that Starfield needs a broken weapon like this just to goof around with and have fun with? Now, finally, it goes on to wrap up by saying the following: I almost wouldn't even use it. It's practically a golden gun, making the already not hard enough, very hard difficulty a cakewalk. What's the point of playing when you will never find a gun that's even 30% as good as this one? But it's cool. The sky-high damage has been found in general, I suppose. Once again, full credit to Salty Meat Boy for the explanation here. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting one for sure. But yeah, sometimes it's good to be able to find and discover those godlike weapons. And I'm always apprehensive of them nerfing anything in games. We've already seen what has happened with that in regards to games like Diablo 4. Now, yeah, that does have PvP in it and PvE. But yeah, this is definitely a different game, single player only. So, curious to see your take on this one, considering that is the case. All right, so now it's time to get into your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up in a future video. So my most recent video was this one right here. It says, fantastic news. It keeps getting better and better. Yeah, you know what? The acquisition of Activision and Blizzard was a success by Microsoft. So yeah, we don't have to worry about that going the other direction now. Yeah, that is 100% finalized. So there you have that one. Now, let's get into your top comments right here. It says, love your videos, man. Detailed and you know what you're talking about. Keep it up. Also wanted to say that people really need to stop comparing this game to others. It's a great game like no other, so just enjoy it and look forward to fixes and extra content. Could it have less bugs? Maybe, but you can't expect perfection. It's a huge game and I love it. Haven't gotten bored yet, and I've clocked over 100 hours so far. Good to hear. Yeah, you know, again, I'm still hopping into the game. I'm still very much enjoying the hell out of Starfield, and I actually plan to replay it, you know, several times over as well. Although, again, you know, I will say that I do wish one aspect of the game that I think is redundant, needs to be kind of addressed, is the temples. I will say that much. Now, we have this one right here. On the loot drops, I think you should be able to change the perks on the rare and higher weapons you find, especially since you have to put such an investment in unlocking the mods to begin with. Great feedback right there. And then we have this one from Ruixin9316 who says, Voron particle weapons are affected by isolation perk given extra 40% damage increase plus any chems like Frost Wolf to really push it. I'm glad the countermeasure to such a powerful weapon is finding one and ammo collecting in order to use a Deus weapon. So it seems like you feel like there is some balance with the weapon, considering that you do have to seek out the ammo. That's what my take is from that comment right there. Again, sound off if you agree or not. Now, Modern Talking Central says this: I love this game so much already, and more content and a few patches will make me even happier. Back to my endless Starfield play. Emoticon with sunglasses. So yeah, it's good to note that Bethesda is not going to be stopping with the patches. And I like how they're actually rolling out the patches. They're not waiting and waiting and waiting. They're doing these, what I would consider smaller patches, which do actually bring us key features like, of course, the FOV slider more recently. And I really hope that the next patch is going to be about the local maps for cities. That's what I really, really want at this point. Some of you are like, I'm down for just figuring out for myself and learning the city infrastructure and exploring. But there are those of us that really do want local maps. But there it is. Thank you all so much for the comments and, of course, for love and support on the videos. Look out for more Starfield and open world gaming goodness. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.